It's about 5 a.m. Oh, August 29th, 2020, Saturday. Yeah, picture it. You're in a spirit scan construct. Being scanned for viability, for real existence in a real world situation. Seeing how beneficial you'd be or how detrimental you'd be. Right? And while you're there, you get tricked into being against the entities who are scanning you, who have been presented as adversity. While the real adversity is here, and it is bodiless. It is trans-spiritual. It has spirit and technology, but it does not have flesh. And it is against an entity that it is being passed off as. Like it has two names. Its name is Satan and Lucifer. Even though Lucifer has a body, and the subject matter clearly states that they're two different entities, and that one acts as buffer against the other for the clone of the deity, right? So you're here thinking you're serving the buffer because you think the buffer is the same as the entity that it buffers against. Do you see? Do you see how you can outsmart yourself? That's how we will learn that a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. Yeah. I'd like to segue that over to something else. It's like there are entities who see us, in our success. They don't regard us as successful necessarily in, worldly terms, like financially and shit. But they realize that we've reached a point of spirituality where we know that because we're able to do what we're here to do, that we are successful. You see. And some of us see us. I mean, there's young entities who see us. We've been working and honing talent for longer than they've been alive on the planet. And we were doing it when we were really young. And we paid a lot of dues for what we can do. It's not like we just picked up a musical instrument, for example. Like, there's entities who they see my guitar ability and they wanna learn it, but they don't want to apply the self-discipline to become the guitarist that I am, you see. And they approach it from a perspective and from a standpoint of jealousy instead of like adoration. So then they can't even make a demand on your spirit, you see. And these are entities who, they cut corners, they don't have self-discipline, stuff like that. They get out of work that they should actually be there to make sure that they're there to do it with everybody else. They're not like team players. They'll let you do some of the work that they should be there to help doing. And they make a habit of living like that. And it's an unself-disciplined, low-energy pre-existence, because what we're all pre-existing here. It's just whether or not we feel this pre-existence is whether or not we make it to the next timeline, right? And from the next timeline, that's where we have a greater chance of graduating to the real world. This is the sift-out timeline. And we get to see who would have fluked us. Who famous would just turn on us and afflict us, to get some more baby blood or whatever it is that they are depriving them of to get them to participate, right? Because, well, they already gave them fame and fortune. And if they succeed in this thing, there's no more fame and fortune. There's no more worshiping celebrities. That's all gone. There's no more sports. That's all gone. And there's no more rich and poor. That's all gone. It's just going to be a demographic of rich people, and they're going to take all the wealth from those that are not part of their circle, which that's a whole lot of sports figures and celebrities who are participating in this right now. They don't realize they're on a target list. Yeah. And there's also a culling of 80% of the population that the buffer may have to come here and intervene against for impersonating the clone of the deity that he buffers for. You see? You know, I'm trying to keep religion out of this because this is actually scientific, and everything that's happening is scientific. And you can convolute everything, you know, with trying to put religion in on it. You see? Because, well, the state of your spirit and the state of your, you know, where you're going, that's a scientific thing, okay? And when they go and put religion on it, and dilute it like what they try to do with the King James Version Bible, for example, which, you know, it's, even the translators tell you in the prologue of any good 1611, you know, copy, and it's a fairy tale, and it portrays King James as God, you know. I mean, their personalities mirror each other. And y'all know that King James was a closeted, self-loathing, woman-hating homosexual. And that's what God has been presented as, and that's not him, okay? There was even an instance, but that could be, see, here's the thing about the Bible, is Christ was fighting against those who were changing it. They made themselves into a chosen race and all this other stuff, you know. They literally wrote the Bible up. They changed it up to say that they were the only race God would redeem, and that the other races were unredeemable. When they forgot to take out that when God created all the races on the 6th day, before the 8th day creation, which was them, they were created as an afterthought. See, they were the afterthought. And here they were the last to come. It was like they were 1,000 years after everybody else was already here. It's like, and they're gonna pop up and say that, oh, you know, everything is centered around them. And they've been doing this shit. It's like, you know, he lays out land for them. Here's your borders. And you know, they decide they want the whole world. It's like, well, wait a minute, God didn't say you could have the whole world. You're supposed to be God's chosen people, the most obedient of all, you know, the races and peoples. And it's like, of all the creeds, you're supposed to have the highest. And look at you, you have the lowest. You want everything you see. You want all property you see. You want to destroy the host. I mean, look at this, how convoluted it is. People think that something that really happened, like Nibiru, is fake. They think science is fake. They can literally film the binary star orbiting the sun and deny that we're in this solar system, man. I mean, you know, do you see how retarded they've gotten? Where they'll even deny science. They'll take religion and apply how God described that this thing we're in is in a box in the Life Museum in the real world, and it's still active long after we're out of it. Yeah, on a side note, hey, recently on the Astroscape, I saw David Lee Roth and his mama in the time loops on the casting couch, being put in the girls that were subjected to that casting couch. Talk about giving a new meaning to go fuck yourself. And, ooh, incestuous. His mama didn't raise him better than that, so she had to go open her legs for her boy. Oh, yeah, that's some weird stuff. And I also saw Soros and Melinda Gates and Bill Gates in the time loops in the future, along with a whole bunch of the other entities that are participating with them. Hey, Oprah was there. And they were being time looped as entities who have yet to suffer. Animals. These were animals. And there was also military there being time looped as those animals. Pardon me. And I could tell them now how to avoid those time loops. Make sure when you go take people captive, or you eject them and you kill them, that you don't close their animals up in their house to starve to death. If there's not going to be any provision for them animals, it's better for you to mercy kill them with a quick bullet to the head, a quick kill shot. Do not let those animals starve to death in those houses that you're going to pull people out of. And you know they're not coming back. You know they will never be back to see those animals again or feed them and take care of them. You have a responsibility to God's animals. If you're going to take the caretakers away, and you're not going to provide more caretakers before they can suffer, those are your time loops, baby. And those are time loops for everybody who sent you to. Every last little rich, wrinkly fucking reptilian hiding in a human body up in a mansion right now, okay? And you better believe if there was any rich or famous people who weren't reptilian, they'd be elevating us. They'd be preparing us and helping us to prepare bug out pads and shit. They'd be making sure we're mobile, moving around a lot. They'd be doing stuff. They'd be participating with us. There are none, man. Okay? I get put in the faces of all kinds of famous entities who supposedly have power in this system and in their mainstream system. They have no power. They're obedient and compliant. And to get some more baby blood, they will tell you to decimate your health, so that when they put the blood vein computer inside of you, Satan, aka the ancient AI, when they download him into you, it's like you might just fall over, because, well, they want 80% of us gone, and they want the other 20% to be obedient nubile slaves to him and hosts to him, you see. They want all that's here to be his host, except for them, of course. You see, they don't intend to inject themselves. What they inject themselves with is not the same thing. It's not the blood vein computer, okay? And I just wish that someone else on the planet had studied the science of God's word, Yahweh's word, to back up the fact of the science that I present, because I'm not presenting you with religion. Religion can't help you now, man. Prayer might, but only if you're conscious of what's going on, conscious of your current state, conscious that you have non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory that even records your omissions and your thoughts. Okay? And everyone's equipped with it, including the animals that are being affected. Alright? And there's a big old jumbotron getting played at the judgment seat in the future right now. And a whole lot of entities are embarrassed by what's being played to show everyone else what must happen to them. How they go into the time loops and they're going to be spiritually executed, and they're not going into the next timeline, and you won't find them in the real world. Okay, there's hieroglyphs to prove that the Bureau happened, and time-traveling angels of death went back, went to the Bureau and killed their ancestors before they could spawn. And they weren't even as detrimental to the planet as the little reptilians disguised as humans we got here, who programmed the masses to, burn up the coolant of their own host. Yeah, they literally go like idiots and sit and watch cars drive around in circles and drive the coolant of their planet out, just burn it up into the air. That's the coolant of your planet, man. You're burning that for entertainment. Did you have kids? Wow, you hate your fucking offspring that bad, huh? Oh, you need to get somewhere so quick. You could have drove, but you're going to take a plane. Yeah, look at all that coolant you're burning up. Now you see then the Bureau culprits were nowhere near as parasitic as you've been programmed to be. Yeah. they used free energy from the ionosphere. But these rich white devils that think they control the world, and they can't even control their own gluttony or their own destination beyond here, and this is a short run. If you live to be 80 years old, you've only been here 2 hours. So it's like, wow, they traded her away for a funhouse ride. They're such spoiled children, little brats, that you took them to the carnival, you let them in the funhouse, and while they were in the funhouse, they traded away their everything. They never came out of the funhouse ride. You see? That's what they are. They're cartoonish, and they're childish gluttony. And they've been that way ever since they infiltrated. They immigrated to the Hebrew land, to the Jew land, and infiltrated their race, became them, and then ultimately used the Nazi regime to decimate all the real ones and take their stuff and leave nothing but the ones who were standing there screaming, "Free Barabbas, crucify Christ," to get everyone else to participate. That's some freaky shit. They still use that technique. Those who killed off the real ones, the real Jews, they all have Jewish names because, well, they infiltrated way back before Christ. And they were the ones who wanted Christ dead because Christ was exposing them. And things that did get recorded, they got changed. Like, he was chasing money changers out of the temple. No, he was chasing the scribes out of the temple. The very ones whose fingers were dirty from the ink of the quills that wrote the scrolls. Do you understand? Their fingers were dirty from the ink from the quills that wrote the scrolls. Now, how come none of y'all are getting this? I laid it out quite simply enough.